Hello everyone, I'm Force McFreelove, and this is Speedplay Horselords number 11. We left off with a foothold in England, well, quite a bit more than a foothold at this point. We have basically given up control over most of Africa to one of our sub-clans, and we are declaring war on a few of the remaining states in the former Roman Empire. We still will eventually have to deal with this chaotic mess that is Germany. However, at this point we are just wrecking through Burgundy. In an attempt to just sort of clean up the borders, we do still have our infernal columns, as always, around the countryside, just taking care of pasteurizing the rest of the area. We have almost entirely moved out of Spain. The focal points are now in France and England, a little bit in Bavaria and that sort. Austria and that sort. We, at this point, just have to wait for the occupations to go through, as ultimately we don't really have to worry about the armies of these countries that we're attacking. At this point, it is just entirely, just moving forward. That isn't to say we don't have any threats remaining whatsoever, however, as there are still a few things that can do us some harm, but it's just not going to be these landed peoples. At this point, they're essentially just waiting for the infernal columns to come to them, and we get to see for a moment just the act of going around and pillaging everything. It is a bit tedious, which is why I've been speeding it up so very much. We end up at war with the Germans, at least for just a moment. They're called in to support the Burgundians, although we're not actually going to invade them and try to take their lands right now. The Teutonic Order starts to get some lands, which means hopefully we'll be able to just launch an invasion of them. At this point we have over 1 million people directly in our clan alone, and we're actually really easily able to start launching invasions at this point. We've finally given up all of Africa except for Alexandria, which I have a trade post on, and we do go ahead and make peace with Burgundy, basically just taking over everything of theirs. We do get a massive rebellion, which we are going to have to deal with over quite some amount of time. It's a minor clan rising. Unfortunately, I was not quick enough handing out the territories of our Burgundian inheritance, so now we have to deal with several 100,000 men. Luckily, they are taking severe attrition, so their numbers are dwindling rapidly. However, we were forced to pull all of our forces out of the middle of France. We do come in with a 15,000 man stack and just sort of pull all of our forces to the coastline and generally just away. There is, as you saw for a moment, a 67,000 man stack just wreaking havoc, 130,000 men. We start just pulling our forces away from there. Hopefully we'll be able to pick off stragglers. That is the only real way we'll be able to win this. We managed to get 70,000 men together into one clump. We do a bit of pillaging in before we actually launch the battle. We destroy their force, follow up, destroy the subsequent force. We have 0 manpower left, and we begin to just split all of our forces off to go back to their jobs being parts of the infernal columns. Now, we are incredibly lucky that that minor clan rising occurred where it did, as if it had occurred somewhere, maybe say in Africa or maybe Spain, we would have had to pull all of our forces from the front and deal with just slews of rebellions. So it's very lucky. Also, we've managed to build up enough forces in Great Britain that we're able, or in the United Kingdom, in Great Britain, the island, to go ahead and just seize the rest of England and Scotland. Now, there is a bit of Norway that's just hanging out in the middle of England. We're probably not going to take that over until we declare war to take over all of Norway, just because I really don't want to fight 2 wars and have to deal with the Trucebreaker Malice and all of that. Now, with Burgundy integrated, we really won't go after Germany for a little while, simply because we don't have that many extra forces just laying around. We did just fight a very large battle that took up our entire manpower, which doesn't appear to be coming back very quickly at all. We do, however, go after a few minor states just everywhere around ourselves, as at this point well, why not? We do have enough forces to take over small, minor countries, and ultimately that will not really delay the invasion of Germany. It'll just make it so that we're actually pressing forward at any rate still. An interesting thing, there is a story, probably apocryphal. I'm not sure if I said that word right, I'm just going off memory. But essentially, there's a story that the Mongols, when they started invading China, at first were considering just doing what we've done and turning the whole area into pasture land for their horses. However, apparently some Buddhist monk, who I really, should know the name of, managed to convince the Mongols not to actually do that, and instead that people could end up paying taxes to the Mongols, and instead of just having a whole lot of horses, they could also be rich. And so the Mongols were like, okay, this seems legit, and they took that guy's advice. Is that really what happened? Probably not. However, we've been demonstrating that, there is an alternate route than collecting taxes. I do go ahead and change the name of the Teutonic Order just because they've been a hassle and I've had to attack them several times. We now control the Teutonic Order. Interestingly enough, we end up not quite being able to make peace just at this moment. However, we are ready to declare the invasion of Germany. We have built up enough forces throughout. I start just moving our forces, basically just on massive attack routes, and immediately we're sieging out most of the country. We didn't actually have enough numbers. Now, all that really means is that we're going to just not make peace until we do actually have infernal columns on all of the provinces. That may involve pulling men from the United Kingdom area, from Great Britain, although realistically we may be able to get enough forces in the near future that it won't matter, simply as we do manage to pillage the remaining territories that our armies are still on. We do, however, start transferring troops over 2,000 at a time. You'll notice the usual force is now 4,000 strong. This is simply because in the area of Europe that we've found ourselves in, the rebellions can get rather sizable, and we have had a few issues with our 2,000 stacks, although that happened quite a while ago, I believe, in Spain as well. So, while it may be slowing us down, in fact, to the extent that we are taking over half as many territories at any given point as we could be, this way it manages to preserve the Infernal Column's actual goal of essentially just making it so that we don't have to micromanage our armies in order to keep making progress against the world. So it really does speed the process up a bit. We are also spreading a sub-clan of ours to Great Britain and the British Isles in general. So we will lose direct control over that region. We do manage to make peace with the Germans, and just like that, we have taken over every territory that has ever been part of the Roman Empire, and and even more so. So thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back tomorrow as we manage to press forward ever more.